This week on Not Just a Hat Rack, we're going to talk about what we couldn't cover last week because we had some editing issues, so things got uploaded a little later. Punk obviously won. He won the match of Cody versus Sami Zayn. Who thought that Punk would win a match he wasn't in? Baron Corbin is back. If you didn't see SmackDown, you got to watch SmackDown because the Nomad is here. Well, has returned. And of course, other things that happened on SmackDown and Raw. And we're going to talk about that fucking Intercontinental Gauntlet match. But this is July 14th, 2026, and this is episode 7. Hold on to your hats. So obviously the first thing I want to talk about, this man, Baron Corbin, should never have been released. The man is versatile. I haven't even seen the stuff that Baron Corbin has done because I wasn't watching before. I took a big break, like I said, watching wrestling from about 2003 till 2020. So all the stuff I've heard is good enough that I'm like, wow, like the Lone Wolf and like the stuff that he's, there were some ups and downs, obviously. But sad Corbin, happy Corbin was kind of meh. But he still, it doesn't matter what his character was. His talent in the ring was amazing, and he was a big guy. So the fact that he was doing so much and doing so well in WWE, but I'll never forget when they called up, and everyone was so happy when they finally called up Cameron Grimes, and Cameron Grimes came up and he beat Baron Corbin in 3 seconds. And the build to that match was dumb. Well, I thought it was dumb because the build was Baron Corbin saying, "Oh, you're some NXT wrestler. Go back down to NXT," like it's an insult. Like, that's where they grow. That's where you came from, Baron Corbin. You came from NXT. So the fact that they had that build to that match, and then Cameron Grimes did his big stomp, whatever, and beat Baron Corbin in 3 seconds. And then what did Baron Corbin do? He went down to NXT. But while in NXT, he formed a team. Well, he did a lot of stuff down there. But the biggest thing that everyone remembers is the last thing he was able to do, which was form a team with Braun Breaker. They were the Wolf Dogs, and they had a great run. They both got called up, and then they released Baron Corbin. And it's very similar to what they did with Dijak. Dijak was doing, they gave him that shit on Raw. We're not going to say the name on here because it's no, we're just not going to mention it. So the fact that they called him, they put him back in NXT. He reinvented himself, just like Baron Corbin had, and then he gets called back up, and it's like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, we're gonna get a real good version of Dijak finally on the main roster, like NXT Dijak on the main roster, not this. Don't you dare say the name Joker. We're never gonna say the name on this podcast. So the fact that they got that and released him as well, but the beauty of that, we did get for a short time. Well, seems short now because it's over. We got Baron Corbin and Dijak as a tag team as the Skyscrapers, and personally, I don't follow much other than WWE, except for like my local wrestling, which is RCW, but AEW barely, anything else. But I never even heard of MLW until I was like, where are these Skyscrapers at? And I started tuning in, and there's a lot of good stuff on there. Not just what they were doing with Dijak and Corbin, well, Bishop Dyer at the time, but there's a lot of other talent there and stuff. So MLW is now something I kind of keep an eye on a little bit, especially because Dijak's still there, but he's obviously my next thing on the wish list to come back because we got Baron Corbin back. If we can get Dijak back, we can get the Skyscrapers on WWE, and they need tag teams. So, just saying, that would be the dream. Because years ago, personally, these are two of the guys that I kind of, and along with LA Knight, these guys that were like just not quite underutilized, but like they're the talent they have. They can be those top guys. They can be put in those top matches against those top champions. And it's the same thing I talk about every week because, it's going to be a while. But, like, those older guys, Roman Reigns and CM Punk and Randy, all these guys are still around. So those spots aren't ready to take yet. So you have talent like Dijak and Corbin and LA Knight. These guys are ready to take those spots, but those spots aren't open. So they kind of end up not getting stale, but it's like, what else do you do with them? But they could have done more. They could have done more. Releasing them is not the right idea. Joker Harley, tell me your feelings on the return of the Nomad.
Okay, well, Baron Corbin is a very underrated talent because he is so good in the ring, and like for the longest time, his finisher was very protected. And see, that's what a lot of people don't tend to do either. Like when they're newer, they don't protect their finish, and they just let anyone kick out of it. But like only I think two people have kicked out of the in the days,
One,
and
one,
the
only
one.
one. And do you know who? I'm sorry to cut you off because this is your moment, but do you know who the one person to kick out of End of Days is? Don't,
It's
don't, Joker.
who?
You tell me. You should know this. You tell me who.
Drew McIntyre.
Drew fucking McIntyre. Okay, you can go on now.
Okay. Um, like Corbin, if he's used correctly, can do some fantastic things. And when he was in MLW, I was already keeping up with MLW a little bit because there's one wrestler there that I like, Cruel. He's a big guy in a mask. Um, but it's just Dijak, Corbin. They were great together. But I agree with you. I want to see Dijak at least maybe come back to WWE at some point. But I will also say, like, with Corbin coming back, is this really going to change the landscape of things? Yes and no. I kind of feel like he shouldn't be going for the U.S. Championship because we'll talk about more of that later. But
Well,
it's a good
hold on,
place
Joker.
to.
Hold on, Joker. Why shouldn't he
Okay.
go after the U.S. title? He's not going after the WWE title. You got CM Punk,
Well,
Cody Rhodes, you know, amazing champions like 9 Day Sami Zayn, like Gunther. I don't think you want to put Corbin in that spot. You want him in that top mid card spot. You want him to be SmackDown's LA Knight. That's what I want him to be. I have now Corbin
well,
on SmackDown and LA Knight on Raw that I'm going to watch sit right at the glass ceiling that they're never going to break. But if they break, I mean, put LA Knight and Corbin together. I don't care. I'm just so ecstatic. Go on, sorry.
what I was gonna say is, it is a good place to put him and let him start off from, because I do think eventually, because you hit the nail on the head, when these people are willing to step down out of places, Baron Corbin can fit in there, and I do think he can be a world champion. It's just he's got to be given that opportunity. But that's the thing. Opportunities are earned. They are not given. They are not guaranteed. You
Mm-hmm.
have to, in a lot of ways, make the best of what you're given. And that's what Corbin has done with, you know, MLW and now back to WWE. It's just, I'm excited to see the journey because Corbin was one of my favorite wrestlers before he got released. And, like, as you were saying, I was so excited to see what they could do with Corbin because he's was in NXT for so long, you know, redefining himself and his character to just get released. And I'm like, that's them literally shitting in my potato salad. It's
No,
like,
no, no. Nobody shit on John Cena. I don't know what you're talking about.
okay, I see what you did. But you know what I mean. It's like they gave me the cake, but then they took the cake away from me and threw it away. Like I was so excited, but now I can get excited again to possibly see what WWE does with him,
Well, it's a good
and
thing the
I just
cake
hope
didn't
it's
expire
good
because
thing.
cake doesn't last that long. Cake doesn't last like 18 months or however long it's been.
I mean, true. It's like we get the cake back, and I'm excited for the cake again. So it's like I just want them to do right with Corbin this time around.
Yeah. Put him in a prominent position against a guy they're trying to push like Trick Williams and the feud with Trick and Mello. It's like, I don't know if they're going to try and do, hey, maybe Mello and Trick will be friends still because they're kind of both baby faces, even though Trick's the bad guy, but he's bad guy baby face. Corbin, but who would Corbin team up with? Who else was in that? Oh no! Oh, and Joker.
Hmm.
Are we gonna get Baron Corbin and Ricky Saints versus Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes?
Okay, keep the panty away from my Corbin. No panty.
Your
No.
Corbin, you don't
Yeah.
ever dare. I have a quote right here from my good friend T Dragon. He said, the moment this happened after SmackDown, he knew out of all people that I would be the most excited. Not Joker. Joker's fingering pies, he's getting cake, and he's metaphoring all over the place. But right here I have on the screen, and I really hope he's okay with it. I didn't ask for permission. But I'm giving him a shout out because we talk wrestling all the time and always have. And beautiful, beautiful man. And hope he's doing well. But he said, well, you prayed for it and it happened. And it's not like I talk about it all the time. I don't talk about it religiously like when Joker and I watch NXT weekly. I just mean once he was gone, all I wanted was him to come back. Dijak and Baron Corbin, I will say it again, were my guys. And I'm like, damn right, pull these guys up. This is the next thing. And of course after they're gone, then I had to latch on to people like Ethan Page, which is more recent, but still I had that fear because Ethan Page did the NXT run. They did everything right with him in NXT, just like they were doing with Corbin and Dijak. And Ethan Page gets called up. He's doing, oh, we'll get into that later, but he gets into that stuff, and Ethan Page is doing great on the main roster. He's got that slow burn, you know. But enough about Raw, because on SmackDown, we had the debut. Are you ready for it? Is your body ready? Of this god-awful, in my eyes. It makes sense. Like, I'm not going to knock it as much as, like, and I mean, like, think about it. I mean, I'm assuming the spinner belt wasn't widely accepted when it first came out. Maybe it was. People liked spinners and fidget spinners and fidgety doodads. But, oh, I better take this off because I did not pray for this. This is not what I'm not prayed for. But Trick shows up to SmackDown and he's like, where's my title? I don't have my title. That's how Trick Williams sounds, apparently. And then little Yachty comes in and he's like, yo, you looking like a polar bear. And that's a horrible little Yachty. Anyway, so he gives him the furry United States title. Now, they could have just made it a white strap, but that would look like the women's United States. That's what this looks like. This looks like a 70s Bush women's U.S. title. That's what this is. This is a women's U.S. title with 70s Bush. Granny Bush. It matches his fur coat, but still, Joker, what do you think of the furry belt?
Okay, I will say it's not the worst title, but then again,
Hold
I
on.
gave
What is the worst title?
do we have to go by a period? The appearance or the strap?
You were able to say this isn't the worst title, so you know what the worst title is. What were you thinking?
I would have to say the 24/7 championship.
Gotcha. Put some fur on that bad
Like,
boy.
okay.
That would make
I
double
would say,
worse. I agree.
There's a
That
good
looked
type
horrible.
of ugly,
Like,
and then there's a ugly.
What's a good type of ugly?
The original hardcore championship.
I
That was
was
a
wondering
good
if that's
type
what you
of
meant.
ugly.
Well, it was ugly.
Yeah.
It was ugly by design. It was meant to be, it was made to look. It's hardcore. It's shattered. It's broken. All that kind of stuff. So it was hardcore. It was in pieces. That made sense, But it's a 24/7. It's like, it's a 24/7. Like, that's a lazy. And it was a green strap, wasn't it? Like, I don't know. That I agree. That is probably the ugliest title. And wasn't it? Was it Mick Foley that debuted it?
Yes.
I'd fucking be in AEW too if I debuted that belt. Kind of like Bret Hart debuted the AEW horrible title. He should have came back to WWE. But anyway, yes, the furry title gets a. Hold on. We can put the furry title on the Vanity Project scale. If you've seen one of our earlier shorts, we had Anisha talk about the panty of Ricky Saints, and we used the Vanity Project scale, which goes from obviously 0 Vanity Project to 10 Stone Cold Steve Austin. And so the furry obviously the 24/7 title. Like Joker just said, I agree. We're going to give it a Vanity Project. The 24/7 title is 100% a 0. You don't get more Vanity Project title than that. So.
Well, I was gonna start off with the hardcore title. That would be
that'd be
a
above.
7.5 on the Vanity Project scale.
Wow, that's
Because
pretty high. There's a
it's
lot of
not
titles. I
bad,
bet a
but
lot of
it could
titles
be
could be above
better.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
And for what it was, it symbolized. Like I said, it symbolized that era. It symbolized that. Like, and obviously, okay, well there you go. It's the Vanity Project scale, But obviously, the 0 represents the 24/7 title because it is a Vantage Project. It was a title. It'd be the 24/7 title, and then the Winged Eagle is the Stone Cold Steve Austin because that belt, I've got it right here on my desk, is the most beautiful belt in wrestling. But I mean, it depends what area you grew up in. Like Joker, do you think the Winged Eagle is the most beautiful belt, or do you have a belt that, like ones that wrestlers wore? I'm not talking about legacy titles and fancy ones. I mean, as far as what they wore on TV, defended. Do you have a title you think is more beautiful than Winged Eagle?
Honestly,
don't say the
world
big eagle.
title.
Don't say the
No,
big eagle.
no.
Don't say the big eagle. Fuck it. I know it's what. Okay, I need to rant.
No,
I need to rant for a second.
No world title.
No world title.
I was gonna say no world title. I will say I would say the original the WWE Tag Team Championships. You know, like from the
like the ones
80s.
that like Demolition had, and like New Age Outlaws. Like they lasted quite a while. Those were beautiful. Yes, I agree. Those were very beautiful. I would put those right up there with the Winged Eagle. I'd give them a 10 as well. Because the thing about any kind of scale is it doesn't mean that there's a 10 and there's a 0 and there's 9 in between. Because there's enough titles to like fucking like 30, 40 in the years that there's been. So I mean, as far as beautiful titles and unbeautiful titles, but yeah, no, the hardcore title, decent. It's up there. Like other than the 24/7, what else is trash besides the United States furry title? Which I don't know where I'd put it maybe at a 3. It's not absolutely ugly, but the concept, it's like fur. Where's the boots? Do the boots come with the fur?
I would have to agree with you on a 3 for the fur title. I would kind of put Daniel Bryan's custom eco-friendly title above that at a 4. But
still pretty low.
Yeah, I like the Big Eagle is like a 5 to me. Like it's all right, but like.
Oh, the Big Eagle. For a second there, I was like, excuse me. Well, and it sucks, too, because, and that's what I was going to rant about for a second. Maybe I'll be a little unhinged here, but the Winged Eagle was so beautiful, and Stone Cold won it at WrestleMania, and then the next night, Vince comes out holding this god-awful, different-looking eagle, and Stone Cold comes out, looks down at the Winged Eagle, looks at the one Vince has, throws the Winged Eagle down, grabs the one Vince has, and that's the Attitude title that we have for the next however many years. I'm like, oh, man. Stone Cold was the last person to hold the Winged Eagle until Kevin Owens, but he held it for a day and then transitioned into a different looking title. So it's like, but I mean that's pretty cool that Stone Cold's the last one to hold the real, my favorite title anyway of all time. But yeah, no furry title, definitely crap. AEW title probably around the same. I'd say maybe a 3.5.
I would give it a 4.
Like the AEW World Title.
Yes, like a 4. I can't give it more than a 4. Like the original Undisputed Championship that Brock Lesnar,
and Batista,
Angle, and Eddie Guerrero held.
Did Batista have that Batista. One? Why do I picture Batista with that? I never watched it that time.
No,
Batista with
world
that title.
Undertaker held it. I would give that a 6 because it's not a bad title design.
It's not bad. There's nothing over the top, but it's not. It's not flashy like the way they have the ones now with the big WW, and I get the brand and all that shit. But at least it was, it kind of like the Intercontinental. It looked more like an Intercontinental title. It didn't look like a world title, so that's probably why. I mean, I would agree. It's probably a little lower. Like the original Intercontinental title was beautiful, and then they did the white strap, or they brought it back, or not the one that. Did Warrior have like a purple strap or something? I don't know. It was weird. But yeah.
He had a purple, a teal, a yellow, an orange, and multiple? So many. He had multiple. Jesus he had Christ. Multiple strap colors. Yes.
Yeah.
I would say the Intercontinental Championship from 1990. Yeah, the oval one right before it. That they had.
Oh, the one that was not. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, the one that was oval up and down. Yeah.
Yes. The one that you really see Austin, Rock, Chris Jericho, and a lot of other people holding. China.
Not
Jeff
the original
Jarrett,
one.
yes.
Not the original one like Rock Austin were fighting about. The one that came after that. Yeah. The one with Jericho. The Jericho title.
I will say the one before that one. That is a solid 8.5 to a 9 because it's just a nice design.
Yeah.
Very, very good design. But like the Jericho Rock title, it's still a good title. I would have to I would have to put it below the original
But not
Intercontinental
far.
title
Not far.
design, but not far. No.
Yeah. Whereas like the tag titles, like you have those initial ones we talked about, like the ones that Demolition had, and like all the way to New Age Outlaws. Those titles were beautiful, and then they had what the penny titles, the ones that were just like they had like the two heads and like the copper,
Well, there
not
were
the best
titles
looking.
before those.
Well, no, I
Those are
know.
the worst.
That's what I
That's a
mean.
zero.
That's what I mean.
Those are zeros.
You get there was like that's why I'm just trying to compare the Intercontinental title. You
Yeah.
have a beautiful title and then a very decent, even the one they have now, very decent. You know, like the Intercontinental never really had, as far as I can think right now, an ugly version. Whereas the tag titles had something beautiful and then something horrid and then something decent. And whereas now the SmackDown, the world, no, it's or the WWE Tag Team Championships that is held by the Archers of Truth, is a little more of an homage to that original or original-ish, you know, that 80s 90s one. It looks nice, and then the one on Raw, the world title, what the fuck, the Vision has. We already talked about that. 7 words for those guys, right, Rock? That's the direction. So I'm not a big fan of the current Raw tag titles. So, but at least they're doing
I
something
will
with the
still
ones on SmackDown.
say, yeah, I will still say like the tag titles from '05 to '08 for both Raw and SmackDown. Like the ones on SmackDown were so close to the ones that LOD, the New Age Outlaws, and so many other people had. That's why it felt more like new, but still the same.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
those titles I can still give an 8 because like they were very beautiful championships. The Raw ones weren't that bad, but I would have to give them like a 5,
Hmm.
almost a 6, but I can't give them more than a 5. Like they're not bad for what they were around the time.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, the,
exactly.
the modern ones, I don't really care for the modern Raw titles. Like they're beautiful, but
Well, they're
they just
okay,
have.
but they're trying to look like the world heavyweight title or something, but they don't, and they're just too big, too big. But enough about titles. Let's go to something that's not title related, at least not for now. But what we're hoping for, and we're still getting built to, almost a little too much because I'm a little scared that we're getting the build and it's gonna take a turn. You know, like we've got these SummerSlam matches kind of everything's kind of in stone. Like tonight, or not tonight, I guess. Last night on Raw. Tonight, whoever. We watched it whenever we watched it. But on Raw, we had what everything was kind of building towards. The Solo Sokoa face turn, which was very nice, very well done. You know, it's just kind of weird because it was like you're really like Jacob was liked and then kind of got twisted around and now he's gonna be with and then Roman and like so these bloodlines turn in bad. Solo turns face, joins Royce Keys, and then who comes out there to save them? L.A. Knight.
Yeah.
So the fact that those guys are all now tied up, because one of the rumors I heard was we'd get Gunther and Royce Keys. Well, Royce Keys is now in a high profile. I call it high profile because it's got LA Knight in it. He's in a high profile 6-man tag. LA Knight's he loves being in 6-man tags with Bloodline, whether he's with them or against them or with them and against them. So the fact that Gunther, one of the opponents was rumored, is now in a match. Officially, we have the graphic. So Gunther attacked Nick Aldis multiple times, and Nick Aldis had just come back to say, "Hey guys, I'm back. I'm the GM again, and I'm sorry for what I did." Gunther comes out and does this. I really hope this week, this coming Friday, well, maybe they'll have like, "Oh, Nick Aldis isn't here because he's hurt." This Friday, well, no, they'll probably wait till next Friday because Saturday Night's main event is this weekend, so it'll probably be next Friday. Nick Aldis either needs to come out or issue a challenge or something, and we're gonna get an actual Nick Aldis match in WWE, which is what I've wanted. Well, a lot of people probably have wanted to see since he got signed. Like right before Nick Aldis got signed, he actually was wrestling in a local area here, and I was like, "Damn, that'd be awesome to go see." And then I heard he got signed as the SmackDown GM, and so it was like 3 weeks out from the event that was here, and I was like, "That'd be awesome to go do like a meet and greet, say hi, like, hey man, you're about to go do SmackDown. That's awesome." Sure enough, it was a Friday night show, and any of the obligations he had to cancel and stuff, so he couldn't come to the event that I could have seen to see him, which makes sense. He's going to be on WWE every Friday, so of course, local shows, not anything that. And I'm sure yeah, and he seems like a very professional guy, so I'm sure everything was handled great. Whereas usually with something that happens and it's like, well, that's a little unfortunate because you kind of have everyone hoping and seeing, and it's not announced immediately. Like it was literally like 2-3 weeks after he got signed to WWE. He's been on TV. That it was like, oh, by the way, he won't make these shows now. It's like, oh, you should have told us when he got signed, because probably sold more tickets once he was signed, and then now he's not going to be there. I don't know. Who knows? That's just what I thought at the time. But the fact that we're going to get Nick Aldis and Gunther, the fact that I don't want to say it's happening yet because it's not official. Nobody's said, we don't have a graphic yet, but I would love to see one. And so when we get that graphic, I personally am excited. I'm more excited for this match than Brock and Oba. Even though Brock Oba is going to be in a Hell in a Cell, I mean, I've already seen the greatest Hell in a Cell match of all time. So, Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, in case you forgot. But the fact that we're gonna get Gunther and Aldis, we better. I keep saying we're gonna. I need to put it out there in the universe that we're gonna get it. Not that we got it. Not that it's happening, because you never know. We talked about it last week a bit, so it's not really any new development except for new development is that it looks like it's gonna happen. But yeah, and it gives another career under Gunther's belt to kill. It makes everything that happened since WrestleMania, or even at WrestleMania, seem very weird with Gunther, because it was like he's killing careers with Cena and Goldberg and AJ Styles, and then, oh, I'm going to fight Seth Rollins for no reason at WrestleMania, and oh, you owe me a favor, Paul Heyman, and that's to get to sign to SmackDown, get a title match that I almost give up to Royce Keys that I end up having and losing, and then I end up losing again, and now I got to fight the GM because I'm an asshole. Like, what fucking favor is that? You know what CM Punk got? CM Punk got the wise man from Roman Reigns' corner to come to the ring with him, even though Paul Heyman turned on both of them, but still. That's a favor. Anybody can move. Like, look, Finn Balor moved to SmackDown. Did he need a favor from anybody? No. He just said he's done with the Judgment Day and he wants to do something else. So, but yeah, Joker, what's your take on the where we're at now? Don't say it's happening, but the fact that we're almost there and we can see the light with Gunther and Nick Aldis.
Well, it's like this. I like that they're still teasing it. And as you said, not to say we're gonna get it, but we're putting it out there that we want it. That lets the universe make it happen, actually. And honestly, if they do let this happen, and they do, and honestly, I think it'll be Gunther that'll throw out the challenge, not even Aldis. And Aldis will accept that, if this happens, because it should happen. It definitely should happen. And I think Nick will let a little bit of his pride, get the better of him and accept the challenge. But it'll be such a great match for Gunther, and as you said, it'll put Gunther on that track of destroying people, ending people's careers, not just being their last match, but give him more credit. And honestly, if they let it happen, it'll be one of the better matches on SummerSlam. And because Nick Aldis and Gunther, both very technical wrestlers, and I think they'll tear the house down. But like, if it happens, we all know Gunther will win. But it'll be so good, we won't even care that we know Gunther's going to win. It's just the fact that it'll happen, and it will happen, is monumental for something. And it would be a showing that WWE can continue to make great storylines and great storytelling, because they would have hit it on the head perfectly, and it will be an absolute home run.
Exactly. And there's no other thing to put Gunther into. I mean, and it takes him out of, even though he's got that tag team match Saturday event, it takes him away from the title. Because like after he did the different career-ending matches and stuff, like Gunther had his moment with the Intercontinental, he had the moment with the title. It's like he could be that title, not above the title, but title adjacent, And so he's kind of putting himself on that Drew McIntyre level of give him something good, he will fucking nail it. He doesn't need a title. So I'm more than happy to put Gunther. Gunther's climbing to that. I mean, obviously Drew has earned that over years and years, but he can have titles come and go, where I don't think Gunther needs a title again. especially now that Punk is on SmackDown, which we're going to get into. But first off, we're going to talk about the god-awful, and this, you know what? I'm officially going to make this an unhinged moment. They advertised last week that we were going to get an Intercontinental Championship #1 contenders gauntlet match. Now, first of all, they do this way too often. It's like, hey, we don't have a challenger for this title. We have a bunch of guys that are fighting for the title. Instead of building a storyline, we're just going to have a battle royal or have a gauntlet match. And that's who fights the guy. That's who it gets a little old. But this week, they outdid themselves because first of all, the people they had involved almost all made sense. So you have former Intercontinental Champion who shows up 3 times, a month now, and doesn't wrestle, but is the AAA champion. You've got Dominic Mysterio. You've got Ethan Page front and center in this picture, which means either A, he should win, or B, he's poised to win one day. Rusev, who's unhinged and just scared the shit out of Kathy Kelly too many times. Javon Evans, who can't stop smiling. Joe Hendry, who can't stop smiling, but I'm not complaining because he does not smile all the time. But also, it's like he seems a little like last minute thrown in here. Chad Gable, who obviously is overdue for an Intercontinental title, overdue for any kind of title, and did so much hard work with the El Grande thing, and he's going to be rewarded. It's going to happen one day. And then Dragon Lee, because he had nothing to do when Rey Mysterio was injured. This was the setup for the match to make sure Penta had someone to fight at SummerSlam because he has nothing else to do except walk funny. But now, I'm going to get a little unhinged because I watched this match, most of it, because I couldn't stomach parts of it. So I did skip moments. And I don't think I missed much because it started off with Dominic Mysterio against Joe Hendry. Now, first of all, you automatically know neither of these people are winning, or one's going to make it to the end, and whoever comes out last will just beat the guy who lasted forever. And it's like, oh, they protect him because look how long he lasted. Nope, not at all. Instead, we had Dominic Mysterio pretty cleanly pin Joe Hendry. So, Joe Hendry not only has been missing off TV for long enough that he came back to help the Street Profits, who already have lost their tag titles back. So everything he's done is moot. Logan Paul feud is not happening because Logan Paul's injured, but Logan Paul's even showing up on TV. So Joe Hendry successfully has shown up, disappeared, helped the Street Profits win, but they lost. Wanted to fight Logan Paul, but Logan Paul's there anyway, but they can't touch because he's injured. So now Joe Hendry's in this little weird spot, so they put him in this gauntlet match. You could have at least given him a win. You could have at least given, have Dom be disqualified or have something, or not have him be one of the first 2 guys out there with Dominic Mysterio, have it Joe Hendry, Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee can take a loss because nobody cares. And Joe Hendry can move on, and then he can lose to Dom in the second match. I don't care. But the way they started this already was not good. But then, so Dominic pins Joe Hendry. And then the next person to come out in the gauntlet was Javon Evans, because he's bouncy. I can't stop smiling. My name's Javon Evans. And during the match, Danhausen comes out to curse Dominic, but something else goes wrong, and so JD goes down the aisle to fight Danhausen. And because JD's left and Dominic is not quite distracted, but distracted, Javon hits the Javon cutter, whatever the fuck you want to call it, and Javon pins Dom. So you had Dom beat Joe Hendry just to lose to Dom beat Joe Hendry just to lose to Javon Evans anyway. And then, this is when, did they figure people are going to take a bathroom break in the middle of this match? Dragon Lee comes out, and what happens in there? Well, Dragon Lee and Javon have a cool spot or two outside the ring, or, Javon flies around here, but then Javon just fucking rolls him up and pins him. Well, why couldn't we have anybody else do that to Dragon Lee? Javon didn't need it. He just beat Dom. Obviously Dragon Lee wasn't going to move forward in this gauntlet match. So now Javon Evans has won 2 matches. So who does he fight next? Who comes out next? Rusev. So is this the way to protect Javon Evans? Like, oh, well, he had to go through Dominic Mysterio and Dragon Lee. Like, the Dragon Lee. And Rusev beats the shit out of Javon Evans. I might have skipped that because I was like, fuck it, go to the next one. Yeah, no, Rusev had to beat him because then out after Rusev beat Javon, out comes Chad Gable, Mr. I have the worst music in fucking wrestling. And Chad Gable comes out, and I'm not knocking Chad Gable. I'm knocking his fucking music. Because Chad Gable, of course, I want to see him do big things. He's doing great. But he comes out, he fights Rusev, and the match was decent. But this is now later in the Gauntlet match, so people are coming back from the bathroom break. They didn't see the Dragon Lee shit. So Chad Gable beats Rusev, but Rusev puts him in the Accolade. Is that what it's called? Puts him in the Accolade.
Yes.
And he's holding on to Chad Gable. And they're like, no, you can't. The match is over. Blah blah blah. And so who comes out last? And I will tell you right now, I got fucked earlier this year by WWE because they decided they didn't want to use LA Knight and my idea of making him king. They said, you know what? No, we're not going to do that because you wanted it. You're not going to get what you want. You can't have nice things. If you want nice things, off is the direction you can fuck. My God. So Ethan Page comes out to fight Chad Gable, who has just been mauled by Rusev. And I couldn't even watch it. I was watching it and I was like, oh my God, they're going to, Chad's just going to win. Chad's in the final two. They're positioning him there. I don't think Ethan Page had lost a match on Raw since his call up. And now, okay, I know it's his finishing move, but it's not, it doesn't matter. I don't need Ethan Page tapping out in his first loss after being the freshest guy in a gauntlet match for a title that he wants. Chad wanted it earlier. He lost his opportunity. It's passe. So now I've got Ethan Page losing to Chad Gable to an ankle lock. And then Penta comes out, and him and Chad have a stare down, and then Chad's music's playing in the background, and how's it go? Gable, my name's Chad Gable, I'm fucking anyway, gotta cut that out. Whew. So, I'm a little too unhinged. I'm gonna bleep that. Chad Gable wins. It means we're gonna get this fucking match at SummerSlam. Music that you can listen to, and music that isn't music. If country music and rap had a baby and they left it on the front step of a church and that church said, oh my God, this is so ugly, we don't want it, give it to Chad Gable. Chad Gable uses that music. But Joker, based on what my feelings of this gauntlet match, what do you think? Am I wrong in any of the points? Any of the points along the way? Do you think they could have been handled better? The winners, I'm fine with the winner. But how he won and how they presented other people in this match, not for me.
Well, I will say, this is honestly has to be setting up to Chad Gable winning the title, because if it doesn't, what was it all for? Why do you have him win? Why is this happening? And I completely agree with you on the whole Chad Gable's music is awful. I can only compare it to Penta's music is something everyone would want to listen to. You know, AC/DC, Ozzy Osbourne, Chad is fucking Nickelback in the corner crying, rocking himself back and forth because no one wants him. No one wants Nickelback.
I never even thought that'd be Nickelback. That's good. So you'd rather Creed, is what you're saying?
Yes, I would rather have Creed over Nickelback, and I'm not even a Creed fan.
I know, I was going to say that means something, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, no, the music. He better not come out to that music at SummerSlam. He needs to have like a special entrance where it's not his shitty music. Give him anything else. I don't care. Ugh. But I mean, and at the same time, Penta was fighting people, and then he hasn't been fighting people. Like, you know, he defends it here and there, but now it's like we're building to this, and I just, if Chad doesn't win this match, you're gonna fucking hear it from me. Raw decided it wanted to end the way it always likes to end when Roman shows up to work, with anything but a fucking wrestling match. It might, hold on. Is this whole fucking episode unhinged? Do I feel like when I get unhinged, it's like either something that bugged me, it just builds and builds and builds. You know, hold on. The one good thing that did happen, not good thing, but funny thing that did happen tonight was the the Vision and Alpha Academy. This honorable mention. The fact that Otis was gonna proclaim his love for Maxine, and Maxine was right about to kiss him, and their faces were right up, and right before this moment here, Otis looked like he was gonna kiss, and I thought that he did kiss, and he was like, oh, he was so excited, but nope. Austin Theory hit him right in the dick, and Look at the laugh on his face. This is beautiful. It's very beautiful. But so this is the kind of good stuff we get earlier in the show. Even though it's Vision, who seemed like they were on top of the world, is now feuding with Alpha Academy. I can't complain. Alpha Academy was the first people to challenge the Usos when they won the tag titles. The fact that they're the first ones coming to feud with these guys, it's not a big deal. But that was fun. What wasn't fun was the fact that we ended just like we were building to CM Punk and Roman with. But that obviously was too many weeks in a row, and I talked about that. Whereas this, at least we've got a couple weeks till SummerSlam. So these guys, I mean, Roman won't show up for the next couple weeks, hopefully, and we won't get the same segment at the end of the show every week. Because it's just, they don't need to build. This is a built-in feud. They don't need anything more. And they even tried to show it. They showed stuff with the Shield and stuff. But, yeah, Roman comes out, and Seth comes out, and they do the contract signing, and Seth's like, I'll see you when you come back to work. And Roman said, well, that's it, little brother. Oh, fucking. Speaking of which, the LA Knight stuff last week with Seth Rollins was beautiful. Let's get the same beard, brother. Let's get a haircut, brother. Top notch. LA Knight stuff. And then now he's doing the 6-man tag. So who knows? If Seth can win and beat Roman, we'll get Seth in LA for the title, which last year before Crown Jewel, or not before Crown Jewel, but before SummerSlam then it would have been. It's SummerSlam when he cashed in the title? Or when Seth cashed in the Money in the Bank? It would have been.
Yes.
So LA Knight beat Seth when he faked the injury. And so LA Knight really has that claim to say that he beat Seth before. So, because Seth beat Cody at Crown Jewel. So, yeah. And that's when he got injured after the fake injury. The real injury happened. Right. That's where it was confusing. But anyway, yeah, I'm tired of seeing Roman come out at the end of the show to have a segment. Like sick and tired. But last week, because the podcast, there were some editing issues. I was really trying to make it go all in and make it really fancy. But last week, we didn't get a chance to cover because this beautiful moment for CM Punk to return to Chicago again. It's like every time, they did the same thing with Bret Hart in Calgary. They have, every time they're in Calgary, it's like, oh my God, it's going to be something big with Bret Hart because he's from there. It's going to be, so CM Punk, it's like every time they say they're in Chicago, it's just going to be a CM Punk show. So if you didn't think CM Punk was going to show up on Monday Night Raw for any reason, you're I don't know what you're thinking. You're definitely not in the Bobby Heenan circle of truth with, like as far as the third man goes. But yeah, so CM Punk comes out and replaces Cody, who gets his ass kicked. And what? Cody doesn't care about Gunther? Cody doesn't care that Gunther kicked his ass and stole his title shot from him. He's like, instead he just comes out and says, oh, well, I'm going to fight you, Punk. It's like, you don't want to fight whereas like Brock and Oba, Brock had to just come out and say, hey, you're a bitch. And Oba said, fuck my title shot. I want to fight you for the third time. Like, shouldn't Gunther have come out and said, hey, Cody, how about you fight me? Cody probably would have went after that instead of the title. But Cody's smart. And apparently Oba is not. But neither is Brock. Anyway. But no, it was a very good match. I enjoyed the match. It did make Sammy seem like a transitional champion because if Cody would have won, it would have been, well, it's not a transitional champion if he lost to, or he beat Cody and lost to Cody. But the moment Cody was injured, everybody knew. And then Punk, I think he said afterwards, it's like he changed it home. Like he lived so close that he got into his gear and showed up at the arena ready to go. And he even said that after the match, I think, and they caught it on the camera or the microphone. That was, he said to his wife, see you in 20 minutes. And so it was a beautiful moment. And Punk is in great shape right now. And I think that's good for WWE because that might have been part of, not like backstage shit and stuff, but it's like, hey man, like we have a really good program. So if you look a little bit better, you could run with this title for a long time. And not that his look was bad before, because look what he's accomplished before. Didn't matter. What was it, 465 days or 400? He had a longest modern title reign before Roman had to fucking triple it, or more than triple it, quadruple it almost. Oh, it's triple. I guess what was it, 1,300 days or so? I don't know the exact numbers. They all know the exact numbers because they're supposed to. Actually, they probably don't either. They're probably told, and nobody's telling me.
1,365 days.
There we go. Yeah, we're just getting word in. Thank you, Joker, the statistician around here who knows how to Google. Good thing he wasn't Googling last week with that NXT bullshit, Joker. But yeah, so Sami Zayn losing was bittersweet, and it's funny they announced the tag team match for Saturday night's main event without Sami showing up. They're just like, hey, Gunther, you're teaming with your best pal, the last good guy, like it's a threat. But yeah, Punk is the champion. He's on SmackDown. You know, it was weird that he announced on SmackDown that, oh, you know, they've been trying to get me over here for months. And so it's like, oh, so good thing you happen to win the title. Because if you didn't win the title, would you have still showed up and been like, oh, hi, I'm on SmackDown now? Like, yeah. So I have no problem with Punk being the champion. I think it's great. I don't care about the whole Punk Hogan shit and stuff. And it's definitely nothing like WrestleMania 9. But, you know, I can see the comparison. But Bret Hart fought a match and lost. Hogan came out to, you know, right the wrong. Punk came out because they still wanted to have a title match, and Sammy or Cody got hurt. So it's like, well, who's going to fight? They should have put Gunther in there. But they're in Chicago, so why wouldn't it be CM Punk? But what do you feel about how they treat hometown? And then a lot of times hometown people lose, you know, like they'd be in Knoxville, Bianca would lose. They would go to San Diego and Bailey would lose. They would make sure to pin the hometown people in hometown to get the heat on themselves. I don't know why. But what do you think about how, not just Punk beating Sammy, but how they treat hometown people in WWE, Joker?
I mean, with the hometown people advantage or disadvantage, it's really like a pancake because it flip flops. They can either make them look really good or make them look really bad. So it's literally heads or tails on any given day. But with CM Punk winning the title from Sami Zayn, I was happy because it kind of gets the title off Sammy because with how everything went down, I didn't really want Sammy as the champion, but I would have been fine with it. But the problem I have is really the problem I've been seeing month after month. You know, when someone new gets that title, Cody always wants to jump to the head on and be like, so what do you want to talk about? You know, he's obsessed with that championship.
Well, as he
And
should be. As he should be. You want to be the top guy. He's QB1.
but it's like I get it. You want to try and kind of recreate that feeling of Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair, but in this situation, you're kind of making Cody the Ric Flair in this situation because Ric Flair was always right there, or kind of Triple H right there to get right back to the front of the line to try and get that title back. But you
Yeah.
do want someone very confident like Cody chasing that title and going after it because it's still people want to see Cody, no matter if they hate him, no matter if they like him. Kind of like Punk. No matter if you like him or you hate him, you want to see him. And at the end of the day, do I think Sammy should have gotten a rematch before Cody? Definitely. But I'm kind of
Well, that never happens anymore. They always make it seem like you should get a rematch. Like, where's Punk's rematch against Roman? Didn't happen. He fought Jacob twice, and now he's sitting around till Seth. So there's the rematch clause is just another convenient thing they pull out when needed. You know, like I don't think there's going to be a need. Well, there's no need for a rematch. Cody's getting a rematch for the title, but well, no. Did you say Sammy getting a rematch or Cody getting a rematch?
yes, Sammy getting the rematch.
Yeah. Well, and Punk said, "Hey, I thought maybe they would do that at Saturday's main event." But it's like, you know, and Punk keeps saying he's a fighting champion. He's probably not defending till SummerSlam. Unless he does fight Sammy after the Saturday's main event. Like, let's say next Friday when Nick Aldis comes back. And I'm waiting for Drew to come back. Huge waiting for Drew. Especially now that Punk's there as the champion. Are they going to move Drew to Raw? Because you want to keep Drew and Punk. Because Drew and Punk hate each other that much. They cannot be on the same brand. After they had that feud, that beautiful feud, the Hell in a Cell, Drew moved to SmackDown. Punk stayed on Raw. Now Punk's on SmackDown. Does Drew go to Raw? Does Drew ever come back? I miss you, Drew McIntyre. I miss you. That's this week. That's obviously not just a hat rack. Is very wrestling heavy. But I mean, we talk about wrestling all the time. So maybe I'll start doing a separate, like a wrestling talk. And then maybe I'll do a shorter version of a show where we can talk about some other stuff. Like next week. Or maybe we'll do a separate thing, like I said. We'll do... I mean, I got so much useless knowledge. There's some useful stuff in there as well, but under the hat. So the fact that, you know, we haven't really dove into like movies, music, those kind of things that I'd love to chat about. I was chatting with some friends tonight or recently as well about like, you know, top 5 movies. And I really have a hard time naming my top 5 because It depends on the era. It depends on the age. Like, and some movies that I've seen since would be technically better, but I still rank these high because they meant so much at the time. So I'm gonna try and make a list and do some stuff like that. But other than that, let us know in the comments what you'd like to talk about. Like, share, and subscribe. And big things are coming. So feast your eyes on the channel.